Hey everyone, this is Vi. I'm checking out the Wedge. This is a part of the Reddit Feedback Friday. Apparently, an infinite runner with shooting. It says here get points by shooting the most enemies before your time runs out. Running into obstacles or enemies eats up a chunk of time. Grab power-ups to help you survive and boost your score. Play in browser. Games should take less than 5 minutes unless you are playing on easy or are really awesome. Changes since last week added animations, added motion to enemies, added sounds and music. And the all-important mute button added a small shot cooldown. Shooting is much more challenging now. To compensate, I slightly decreased the frequency of obstacles. Even with the shooting change, I still was able to get a score of over 250k on hard. Alright, so I've not played this before. This is my first time trying it out. Let's go ahead and go to the game page here. This is, in fact, in the browser. Let's get rid of the overlay. Shoot enemies, aim at large blocks with the mouse to automatically blast them. Dodge obstacles, use A and D to move between the 3 lanes to avoid the lines. Pickup, power-ups. Touch the blue crystals to power up. The game ends when the timer runs out. Alright, I guess we can try medium then. And click to play. It doesn't appear to be a full screen button anywhere, which is a little disappointing, but that's okay. Just kind of hide that top bar there. And this is a mouse game. I'm guessing it's all gonna go on right here. But let's give that a shot then. Let me check this recording real quick. I think that's on. Click to play. Oh, we got some 3D graphics. Okay. Oh, we just kind of, wow, okay, this is extremely fast. Looks like there's no button to click. We just kind of, wow, there's some jerkiness going on here though. Alright. Alright, it's extremely confusing. The teleport animation I don't like. I'll mention why in a moment. Oh, that's my answer machine again. Sorry about that. So yeah, there's definitely some moments where the screen freezes for a bit. It might have something to do with it being in the browser. I've noticed sometimes, not for every game, but occasionally I get a game that's got a web build like this and it just has some issues for some reason. I don't know what the... looks like we got some auto shoot so I don't have to aim for a bit. I don't know what the nature is of these sorts of issues, but yeah, so far it looks like we can just kind of wiggle the mouse across the screen up here, but I'm not really, it's hard because you have to kind of look down at the bottom to see where you are. You can kind of do it with your peripheral sometimes. Seem to be doing okay so far. So, but yeah, there's that little bit of a division where you're kind of looking up right at the top to shoot and then kind of you have to look down to dodge. So definitely divide your attention and where you move your eyes. But yeah, so far it seems like I can pretty much just kind of swirl the mouse around here. It seems to just kind of work. Ooh, holy moly. Alright. Oh, I should get these blue things. Extra time, more danger, more points. Alright then. Interesting. I don't hear any audio. I might have turned it off accidentally, or maybe it's just turned off by default. But it's kind of hard to stop and change it now. I don't know if there's a pause button, if I can hit escape or something. That actually work. I kind of don't want to take my hands off. Okay, I tried to escape. It didn't work. Oh no, I hit something. So far we've been doing pretty good considering it's like, I think we died once at the very beginning and then once or twice, and then once you start getting up to speed, I've been doing pretty good. I don't really get a sense of the difficulty increasing very much. It may in fact be increasing, but it kind of feels so far like it's just been kind of static in the sense of how difficult it is. Maybe that's not true, I don't know. But we're just gonna keep going, I guess, until I die. Whoa. Suddenly a lot of dudes right there. Again, sorry about the audio. There's not getting any of the sound effects or music. Kind of wanted that power up, but it was right where I couldn't really get at it. It does give the sense that it's maybe randomized, kind of procedural, the placement of things here, which maybe means that the so-called level design isn't as interesting as it could be. But on the other hand, wow, that was very fast to get through all of a sudden. Oh, I thought I was going to get through that. Oh, wow. Well, that's a bit annoying. I mean, there are times when it's like, obviously I messed up, and then it's like sometimes I thought I did it right, but apparently I didn't. I ended up running into something. It's a little unfortunate. Always kind of too bad when it feels like, wow, when it feels like you did it right, but you didn't. So I think that time I went too early and I just ran into the... Alright. So I suppose it did eventually get harder. It's mostly by the rate of which I was failing. So let's... Am I getting any audio out of this? I mean, they did mention... Maybe when I click play again, it'll make some audio. Alright, but I just want to talk about the sort of teleporting movement for a second. I don't think it's a big deal. You kind of get used to it. Generally, that sort of thing I don't care for because it doesn't have any sense of motion about it. It has this kind of big burst effect, and then you just kind of appear in a different spot. So it doesn't give you a sense of motion, which I think is really important in most games, because it's sort of like your eye and your brain kind of follow the object, the motion of the object. So when people do these teleport things, a lot of times it's very jarring in that, like, you're suddenly in a different place and your brain has to kind of catch up. It's a very brief time that it takes your brain to catch up, but it's just like a little bit extra work for your brain that you don't really want to do in very intense games like this. That being said, in this particular game, I mean, it's not as bad. On the other hand, the idea that you move instantaneously does seem sort of like an important aspect to this, because you do have to move so quickly. So it does kind of seem like that's, by design, the idea that you're not pushing the button and waiting for your little ship thing to slide over however fast or slow it may go. It's basically instantaneous, so there's a bit of a benefit in that. What you could consider doing is, keep the instantaneous aspect of it, but make like a little bit of a trail or something, showing, little trail moving from where you were to where you ended up, rather than having this kind of burst effect that's a little distracting. Again, it's not a big deal, but in my opinion, that would be an improvement for the visual aspect of it, so you can kind of, just to give a sense of movement. Sometimes people do this like sort of anime after image type thing where it shows like a little after image where you were and then you appear somewhere else, and it's just like, it's basically you're confusing the player intentionally by doing that. In the animes, it's cool because it's confusing the opponents with their after image thing or something, but if you're playing and you're doing it to the player, then that's kind of silly. So yeah, in any case, just babbling about this little detail here, but medium, let's see if there's any. Oh, I heard something. Alright, now we got audio. Yeah, I don't like how you... Whoa, what did I hit? I don't like how you kind of disappear then reappear like that. And I think that there have been a couple of times where the teleporting aspect of it probably made me move a little faster than I anticipated. So like if I try and go back and forth across the thing, across the wall, I'm kind of talking, so not really playing very well. Like try and go like back and forth across the wall quickly. Sometimes I might press the button too early because I'm sort of expecting it to take a moment to get for the ship thing to slide over. So I I don't know if that made sense the way I tried to explain it, but alright, let's try this again. I'll actually kind of try this time. So it might be nice if it was a little more clear when the little auto shoot power up thing wore off. I kind of wish I could speed up a little bit, like intentionally, at these areas where there's not really much in front of me. Might be interesting if you could like hold W for a moment to kind of speed up a little bit, and then when you let go you slow down again or something. I don't know what that sound was. Ooh. It got a little visually confusing there. Sometimes these block things kind of start to cover up some of the actual walls and stuff if you get enough of them, so it's a little hard to decipher things for a moment there. As long as they're kind of staying in the background here and I'm killing it before it gets too close, then it's not a problem. Oops. I guess there's a bar at the top that's showing the auto shoot thing. Holy moly. It all kind of jumbles together sometimes. Which is another kind of downside to the idea of having sort of a randomized level layout. You can't really control stuff like that very easily. Holy moly. Yeah, once stuff starts getting down a little bit lower here, it suddenly gets a lot more difficult to actually kill those things and dodge at the same time, rather than just kind of doing a little swirly thing up here with the mouse. Whoops, I ran into that. And because like all my focus is kind of on the dodging and shooting, I don't really have any perception of like how close I am to failure, basically, in terms of the time. I don't know what that sound was. Oh, jeez. So you can do you can do very fast maneuvers. Shield up. So I don't really know what this. I noticed there's a bar on the left, but I can't really look at it. You know what I mean? Oh gosh. I suspect the shield might allow you to like absorb one of the running into something, which is probably what that sound has been. Well, that's annoying. I think I keep doing that one sort of mistake where I kind of run sideways into a wall. Because it's part of the problem of looking way up here all the time when you can't look down. Oh, that wasn't a good idea to take my mouse away from the top. Holy moly, suddenly there's all these dudes. But yeah, part of the problem of having to look up here all the time and not really being able to look directly down at your ship very easily is that you it's a little difficult to judge like when you're past something, and so you can safely kind of sneak by it. One of the walls. Sometimes I'm kind of getting it okay, but I can't really look directly at myself, so it's pretty tough. Okay. So game over. It is kind of interesting the way it's sort of time-based. I guess you run out of time again. I didn't really figure out what's indicating kind of how much time I have left or whatever, how close I am to game over. But I kind of get the sense that you could just as readily, well, I would say with the current design, you could just as readily make it sort of like a hit points sort of thing, something to that effect, where you die by running into stuff rather than you die by running into stuff, which in turn makes your time go down, which in turn makes you die. You know, it's sort of like indirect, but it's almost unnecessarily so, which kind of almost feels wrong when you do game over, because it's like you're just moving forward and then you just die all of a sudden because you ran out of time, that sort of thing. Whereas if you had hit points, then you would game over after running into something. It would just kind of feel intuitive in that way. That being said, I think if you were to, for example, play with the idea of being able to move faster, kind of the suggestion I made where you can maybe hold W at certain parts to move up a little faster, that sort of thing, might kind of necessitate the more time-based gameplay. So if you were to consider that. One guy that just goes off. I don't think they're really supposed to go off like that. It looks like they just kind of go left and right in here usually, but sometimes one of them gets out, so I don't know if that's a bug or something. See, it's almost always when I run into one, it's because I do that. This thing isn't quite past me. See, I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to make a point, but you can probably see what I'm doing, where I'm trying to wait for it to go past and then move in front of it, but I keep running into it because I haven't quite passed it yet. So it seems like probably 90% of the time when I run into something, that's why. Which I'm not sure how, but that would make me think that maybe it's worth considering trying to do something to make it harder to mess up in that particular way, if that's like the one way that people are always messing up. That's certainly the way that I'm always messing up, it seems like. So maybe there's some kind of little cheat way you can kind of make that a little more forgiving or something. It's really not obvious to me what that would be exactly. I mean, generally you work with things like hitboxes and stuff, and there might be some way that you could, maybe you can make it so that if you if you move onto a wall from the side rather than from the front, that it wouldn't damage you or something. Again, it kind of seems like a cheat way of doing it, but it might make for a more entertaining game, you know? People might never notice, which is often a respectable way to do things. Yeah, too many things. The actual shooting aspect of it is kind of interesting. It's almost, I don't know. I mean, it certainly makes sense that you don't have to click the button, because that would be ridiculous, but I don't know, it's interesting. I guess it works decently enough that when it gets hairy like that, there's a certain degree of hairiness that I'm willing to, or able to process with my mind there, I think. Generally this idea where I can just kind of sweep the mouse around like this kind of willy-nilly and it just kind of works, I would consider kind of not a good thing, but I think in this case it almost kind of works reasonably well. Oh, but yeah, sometimes when stuff gets closer, it starts covering up the walls and stuff, and it's hard to kind of see everything that you need to. Oh. So it is a little willy-nilly, the whole shooting aspect of the game, the mechanics of the shooting, but oh, I think I lost track of where I was, what lane I was in. Yeah, see, this is kind of, I can't, it's, the teleporting isn't really helping at this point, but yeah, it's like I feel like it's almost getting more exciting, except that I can't get a grasp of it. Another part of what's going on here is that once stuff starts getting further down, the things that you have to shoot, it gets harder for you to move your mouse down here to get everything. So it's a little hard to keep track of where your mouse actually is. See, this is getting exciting, but at the same time, it could be kind of unfortunate if like the fun part of the game is the part that you can't actually play because it's too hard to. Ooh, oops. Yeah, it's getting pretty tough. Just a lot crammed into a little area, pretty much. Yeah, it just unfortunately gets really hard to shoot all the things once it starts getting that hard. It's kind of too bad because I did feel like it was getting more fun because it was more everything was getting kind of tighter and dodging between things, but like you can't really dodge things without also killing all the things with the mouse because they all kind of get in the way, and I think that's the part that I had the most trouble with towards the end is getting all the things with the mouse, and then so it kind of ruined the good times there for me, but interesting for sure. I'll probably wrap up this video, but I think it's a really cool concept. It definitely had a bit of fun in there. It's really interesting. I'd like to have a full screen mode, obviously, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it could be made better with some small tweaks here and there. I don't really know. I mean, maybe you can make the little reticle a little more visible at least. I do kind of wish there was a way to make the shooting aspect of it a little more easier to pull off, I guess, when it gets really hairy. It's hard to think of exactly how you might do that. Nevertheless, as it is, it's pretty cool. I would keep playing it a bit, I think, if I wasn't recording a video. So definitely interesting. Hopefully you got some useful feedback out of this. And if you have any questions for me or anything, definitely let me know. In the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video.